Do you want to turn something like this into something like this in just a few simple steps? Now you, the viewer at home, might be asking, but Mr. F. Will, how are you going to pull this off? Well, you are in luck because I'm just going to present my 5-step plan right now. Step 1. Get yourself some sandpaper and do a all-round rough pass followed by a bit of a finer finishing pass. Step 2. This one is optional, but get yourself some spot putty and cover the really fugly areas. Step 3. Get some filler primer and cover your entire piece in that. Step 4. Take a fine grit of sandpaper and wet sand the hell out of your piece. And step number 5. Do a finishing pass of filler primer and done is your piece. Okay, now let's take a bit of a breather and start with step 1. For this step, you are just going to need some sandpaper. You can do this by hand, or you can also use a mouse sander like I'm doing here if you want to annoy your neighbors. The first rough pass I did do in my basement though with 150 grit because I don't actually want my neighbors to call the cops on me. In this step you can't really go too deep unless you're really stupid and stay on one spot for the whole time, which I don't advise you doing, but nevertheless you can be pretty rough. For the finishing pass, I'm going to move up in sandpaper just a bit, and I'm also going to be using my hand to have a little more finer control over what I am doing. Here you don't need to dig too deep and just focus on the rough spots. And also, if you're wondering why is he moving around so much, well, the entire shot, a bumblebee decided to terrorize me on my balcony, which I really don't think is okay. Also, if you are unsure if you have sanded enough at this step, I recommend taking your fingernail that has way too much dirt under it, this is essential by the way, and rubbing it over the print, and if it still makes a loud ratcheting noise, you're probably not done yet, but if it feels smooth and, well, smooth enough, you can move on. For step 2, you are going to need your spot putty and some more safety equipment like, for example, nitrile gloves and hopefully also a mask unless you want to get really high off of fumes. Anyways, what you're basically gonna do at this step is just take the putty and smear it onto the problem areas of your piece, for example, the top and the bottom, as those are going to be the stair-stepping areas. Also, this might be a good time to mention that the model that I'm using in this video to demonstrate this is from a user on MakerWorld, and it's just a Shy Guy mask from Super Mario. Once you're done spreading the paste evenly, you can leave it outside to dry before sanding it when it's dried, and also wearing a mask while doing that until the layer lines just poke through like this, and that's that step done. For step 3, we are finally priming, so go outside, wear a mask, and get your filler primer and start spraying away. What I like to do here is just do a very light dust coat at first and letting that sit for a couple of minutes before coming back and doing a real heavy coat. This just makes the primer stick better and prevents runs from overspray, which I admit I get way too often. If at this point you are looking at your piece and saying, this didn't make any difference, I can still see the layer lines, I did everything and it was pointless, don't worry, it'll get fixed. And oh boy will it get fixed. After a quick message from today's sponsor, myself. You clearly like this video because you watched this far, so why don't you go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Look, I'm new here and I just want to make some friends, so why don't you stick around? Alright, now let's actually move on to step number 4, which is definitely the most rewarding one of them all. Get some 320 grit sandpaper and go to a place you can make a mess of. Now get your part wet, get your sandpaper wet, and get yourself wet. Actually, don't do that, just do the first two. Now sand your part thoroughly until you can see the layer lines poking through again just like this. I honestly think this process is oddly satisfying when you see your part all shiny like that, and the more you sand, the more the original part comes through. Once you're done, you can dry off your piece and clean up your workspace, or don't if you're gross. And you can also leave your piece out to dry in the sun if you want to. At this point, you will realize that every second of work on your piece will pay off, because when you feel the surface, it is just super smooth. It is so incredibly smooth. I would even rub it on my ass. Step 5. This is the final and very last step. And it is honestly a really simple one, because all you do really is just apply another layer of primer. You can do a thick one, you can do a thin one, it doesn't really matter, it's just a finishing pass anyway. When the primer is dry that you spray it and you look at it and you still see some layer lines, well, good news, you can repeat this process of priming and wet sanding until you are satisfied with your results. Myself, I am pretty satisfied with these results. I mean, from now on you can do whatever you want. You can go paint it, you can just set it aside, you can touch it with your fingers, all the doors are open for you. This piece, wow, it looks amazing. It looks really smooth, really good. You can't even notice that it's 3D printed anymore unless you look at it from the back. I mean, this is good. Did you see this? Can we get some before and after shots on this? Okay, if this doesn't convince you to try this out, then I don't know what will. But this marks the end of this video. Thank you so much if you watched this far. I would really appreciate your support, but I think I already said that. Nevertheless, it would be really cool if you could comment if you like this kind of style of videos that's supposed to be a bit more funny. I'm trying out something new here, but if you do, then that's great. Awesome. Once again, you have been watching Pushing Free Will, and I will see you in the next one, hopefully.